This episode is sponsored by AireCon, one of the UK's finest analogue gaming festivals, taking place at the Harrogate Convention Centre between the 13th to the 15th of March next year. Tickets are on sale now. Check out the website, which is aircon.uk, or check out our links in the show notes for more information. Welcome to another episode of We're Not Wizards. My name's Richard. I'll be your host for September. Now, joining me today, he's from New York. New York is a hell of a town. You know, the Bronx is up, but Brooklyn's down. Because they don't know his name, they only know his initials. He's in Deepwater Games. Not elected officials. He quit his job, he cut his hair, he almost cut his boss because, you know, he doesn't care. He tried to bring a game to Kickstarter earlier this year. Ooh. It's called Sovereign Skies, and he's here. It's Mr. Aaron A. Wilson.
Hello.
There you go, sir.
Your freestyle game it's pretty hot, I gotta say.
I've got to admit, I stole that from the Beastie Boys.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Really? Oh, you didn't make that all up yourself? That's good, though. Regardless.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I might have to cut it out because it was rubbish. But, you know, you can't have everything. How are you doing, sir? Are you glad you're on the show?
I'm doing great. Yeah, I'm glad I'm on the show, especially after us pushing it back a couple of times like we did. But this is actually perfect timing because the Kickstarter is launching Tuesday.
Yeah, exactly.
So by the time everyone hears this, it will probably be live, I imagine.
Or finished, depending on how long it takes me to edit, you know.
Go back it right now. Thanks for listening.
No, it's fine. It's fine. No, I know. Thanks for, you know, and until next week, goodbye. No, but as I say, earlier this year, you brought Sovereign Skies to Kickstarter, and then for whatever reason, which we will have a little chat on, you decided to kind of push it back and then kind of relaunch it again.
Yes.
Two things we've got to do. I think we should obviously we have to say hello to everybody who's out there. Thank you for listening. The reason that we do this is quite simply because there's not enough podcasts out there about board games.
No.
And the second reason that I'm doing this is because we're now at position 23 in the iTunes Azerbaijan games charts. Wow. And I'm thinking we can go to 22.
This interview is definitely it's definitely going to give you a boost. I can feel it.
That's a very confident and strong statement, Mr. Wilson. I might
it's the energy in the room.
To that. Anyway. It's the energy in your room, you know. Or is that your AC? We don't.
That's the AC on in the background. Sorry about that.
That's fantastic. It's okay. We can edit it out because we have the power and the authority. In terms of yourself, though, because this is all about it is your night or your day. Were you? I mean, back at the beginning. I mean, did you go through kind of like the normal thing? Was like board games something that you had in your life from a young age? You know, did you go through the Monopoly type phase and everything like that when you were a young slip of a man? Or?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I played a certain amount of board games. I just liked games when I was a kid, and I liked video games. I played a lot of your classic board games: Monopoly, Risk, Stratego. Mm-hmm. Those were like my go-tos back in, you know, when I was in middle schoolish, that era. And then Dungeons and Dragons was a game that I started playing as a young nerd as well, which I enjoyed very much. I never jumped on like the Magic, the Gathering thing. That didn't take for me. I was in college at that time, and I sort of stopped gaming altogether for a long time. Although I was still sort of, there's something about the system of games that has always drawn me in, and being able to manipulate and create a system that creates fun. So I was still dabbling in like authoring games at the time, but they were sort of these role-playing game systems I was trying to kind of do myself on the side without having any sort of community, which was just a strange little hobby to have alone in college. So like when I wasn't being an art school party kid, I was doing that for some reason. So
what did you do at college then?
I majored in photography and video. And so after I came out of college, I did a lot of graphic design because that's kind of where the easier money was, at least in terms of my capabilities. And so now I still do that. I'm a creative director at an ad agency in New York. And that's really why I'm able to pull in a lot of my graphic design skills into the game and into prototyping when I'm doing that.
What does a creative director do? Apart from me obviously putting up a very high-pitched voice, is it kind of like a movie director? Are you the person that kind of goes, this is my vision, somebody has given me almost like a brief and a script, and we're all going to sit around.
A high-pitched voice in the beginning is very important, and then you have to go kind of low. No, but yeah, it's true. A lot of it is being able to pitch yourself to clients and speak to the art direction, and then get your hands dirty as well. You're doing a lot of the work and really critiquing a lot of work from various teams for the artwork that's happening within whatever campaign. So I work on a few brands right now. Actually, one of my brands just got pulled off the shelves. It was Zantac. I don't know if you heard about Zantac, but is that no? I don't know what that is. Is that not something like a painkiller? Yeah, it's a heartburn drug, and there's apparently a carcinogen in it, which is really a shame because we were doing some awesome social stuff for Facebook and Twitter.
Wow.
Yeah.
That must have been a bit of a bad day.
It was a burn.
Office. What did they do? Like, did they say like, "Oh, you're going to get a bit of indigestion here when you hear the news I'm having"? He says, "Oh, it's all right. I got a couple of Zantac in the cupboard. I'm going to taste." Like, no, you better not. You better not take them. Yeah. Have some Gaviscon instead. Have the little liquid kind of, the liquid refreshment that'll kind of help you.
Just drink milk. You're fine.
Are you in charge of quite a few teams then?
Yeah, a couple of small art and copy teams report to me and my copy partner guy, and then we work on pitches and concepts and stuff as well. So it's actually a lot of work. I would rather be designing board games full time, and that's what I enjoy the most. But I don't know, maybe I wouldn't if I did it full time. Maybe I would be like, I wish I could do advertising full time.
I wish I could go back to 75-hour weeks and at least have other members of the team I could get doing stuff instead of having to do everything myself. When you got out of college, I mean, when did you start to go back into the board game hobby then? Or were you always kind of skirting on the peripheral with the RPG stuff anyway?
Yeah, no, I kind of, the RPG thing kind of dropped off, for a while. And I was just I was casual gaming. Like we had a Risk night with some roommates when I was young in New York City. I played a lot of that. Risk is too long, but I very much enjoyed that. And then at some point right when Dominion came out, I discovered that, and I had a friend. I think it was a recommendation from a friend who was actually like a Magic the Gathering competing guy. I can't remember his name, but he recommended, this new game. It's really cool. It's like kind of self-contained Magic, which it really isn't, but in the way that you play cards, I guess so. And that kind of really started to hook me in back into getting into kind of buying games, collecting more games, getting into knowing more games.
Yeah.
A friend of mine bought Stone Age kind of back then too, and I.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So that was kind of me dipping my toes in there, and then I was just really into like anything kind of card based. And then I wanted to see if I could take a crack at it, since I had kind of dabbled in the world of role playing, like dealing with like system mechanics, basically, seeing if I can do some board game mechanic type things. And then, so I made a couple of like bad deck builders, basically Dominion knockoff kind of things, just as kind of practice. And that's kind of where, and then I started to do this like sci-fi theme, and I kind of started to pull that through in creating a couple different games. And that's really where Sovereign Skies came from. It was really just a much later iteration of one of those original deck builders.
Do you think Magic to me is a funny thing? Because I know people that all they'll play is Magic, and that's all they'll do. They'll not touch anything else. It's like the
it's a whole subculture.
It's like do you know what it's like the FIFA and the it's like the FIFA and the NFL games on the PlayStation 4, and you'll get some people that they have a PlayStation 4, and all they will buy every year is like the latest NFL football game, the
newest Madden,
the newest Madden, or the latest kind of FIFA football game, or Pro Evolution Soccer as well as, and that, or the Call of Duty, and that's all they'll buy.
Yeah.
And sometimes in Magic, I know players that is all they'll play, and they won't even go as far as maybe they'll dabble in a deck builder on something else, but usually they just return to Magic because that's what they do. That is their hobby, and it's kind of like that's why I kind of never got into it, because I knew if I got into it.
Yeah, it's a kind of a rabbit hole. I have a very large appreciation for Magic and the design and all of what goes into, especially the beautiful art, but really just the play testing that the rigorous play testing they got to do to make sure that things work, and they got to know the power creep and all those funny words they use.
Or the words that they use, but they don't allow other people to use, which I've always found really fantastic. When I said to somebody, like, I said, "Oh, you're tapping that," it's like, no, I'm not allowed to say that. Right. It's like if I say that in my game, I can potentially kind of get sued for a kind of copyright type thing. And I thought you couldn't copyright mechanics. It's like, well, you can't really copyright mechanics, but somehow what they've done is they've got a way of actually copyrighting what they call that mechanic, which I find absolutely fascinating, even though...
You might have to bleep it out of this podcast. Tap. Bleep.
Tap. Well, you see, I'm okay in the UK.
Oh.
Because I can say I went to the kitchen, I was going to make myself a cup of coffee, so I went and I got the kettle, I turned on the tap, and then I filled it with water, and then I turned the tap off. If I was in America and I said that, then I get the Magic the Gathering folk, Wizard of the Coast or whatever, would be straight on the door going, "Did you just say you used the tap to fill your kettle?" That's how you're lucky you get to use faucet.
When I go to the bar, I say, sure, what do you have on bleep? So I don't...
I'm just wondering, if I brought out a card game and there was a way of exhausting cards, I would say you were fauceting them.
That works.
Just to say it, just like, bring it on, Wizards of the Coast, bring it on. I'm going to get a cease and desist. Although I'm just going to check my email. They know even while I'm recording a podcast, I'm not doing something. I'm doing something that I shouldn't be doing, which is all kind of very well. Did you end up, like, down the line, have you got a reasonable kind of collection as you've kind of gone on? Do you kind of like, did you get into the thing of a regular games group and you were like, oh, I like this, I like that? And have you kind of stuck with the kind of the card games as you've gone? Yeah,
I have. I mean, I've kind of leaned more into Euros, especially kind of light, medium Euros. Mm-hmm. That's my sweet spot. I'll play heavier games. I game with a group up here in the burbs, and they like to play heavy games, so I get to experience those. I'm just usually they're usually just not really my cup of tea. After hour 3, I'm like, okay, I'm ready for this game to be over. But I mean, that's really why I like to design in a space where you keep a game to within an hour, because that to me is where the fun is. And if I'm going to play, I can keep playing games, but I'd rather just play another game for another hour and then another game for another hour, so I can have that variety within that time. So a lot of my collection is kind of in that medium range.
I mean, have you got anything at the moment that's kind of like, you know, do you really kind of enjoying or getting into? Or are you just saying, are you absolutely crazy? I'm in the middle of actually putting a Kickstarter out there. The last thing
That's
I'm
exactly
doing
right.
is playing,
what are you
playing games. You fool.
What are you tapping nuts?
No.
That's me bleep. See this? Then I did the bleep. Never mind. I got confused.
Now you're sued now. You'll be in court.
No, I don't have anything. My wife and I have been playing a lot of Sintra, which is the Azul sequel. I really enjoy that. She enjoys it. She doesn't play a lot of games, but so any game that works well at 2-player and plays fairly quickly, we play more of than other games, even though I have preferences for some heavier games that I actually own that I can't play at home. I got to take it to my game group, which is fine. But like I'm looking at Bosk right now that just came out, which is really great. That's from Maple Games. You know that one?
It's the one with the trees and the leaves and stuff like that.
Yeah,
it's almost like a follow-up to photosynthesis.
Yeah, it is, right.
That's what I've heard people saying it.
Yeah, it's really nice. Like I have the whole Alex Kevern collection. If you know who he is, Gold West and
yes,
Passing Through Petra. He used to live up here. He moved to LA, so I used to game with him and get notes from him with playtesting and whatnot. Also, like, and I think you had him on, Daniel Newman. He's a buddy of mine. Lives here in New York. I game with Daniel and Gil for playtesting a lot. Also, Ryan Courtney, who did Pipeline. So it's nice to have that group here to be able to like bounce stuff off. But I also enjoy their games a lot. God, Pipeline is an ass kicker. That game is hard.
I mean, you're mentioning Daniel Newman, and all I'm thinking about is have you met the dog yet? I mean, that is all I'm thinking about.
His new one, Cosmo, I have not met that dog. No, I haven't met the puppy. Last time I visited him, he had his other dog that has passed since, which...
Yeah.
My condolences to Daniel. But I always mean to go over and say hi to his puppy. I don't know.
He just keeps on putting pictures on like Twitter, and it's just kind of like his temptation. It's kind of like, oh look, I've got a really look at my new dog, and I'm just like, yes, I am looking at your new dog. I would like your new dog very, very much, but just
it's a very cute dog.
To know the fact. Yes, I know it's a very, very cute dog. I've told Daniel personally it's a very, very cute dog, and when he comes back on the show again, I shall be asking him to put the dog on Skype camera so we can actually see the dog, and then all it'll be is 45 minutes of me going, go to the bit of fish.
A whole episode.
Look at the fish.
A whole episode of puppy talk. Perfect.
That's exactly how it's going to be. But are they quite, like obviously chatting with Daniel and Gil, and, are they quite kind of, when you were taking them through kind of the Sovereign Sky stuff, were they good enough a friend that they told you when stuff was working, and good enough a friend that they told you when stuff just wasn't going to work, or you should consider doing it kind of like a different way? Absolutely.
I go to them specifically for their ruthlessness. I mean, Daniel's he doesn't pull punches, especially with me. So yeah, and Gil it's just he's a straight shooter too. I absolutely value all of their input, and yeah, they'll never sweet talk me for certain, because I make too many dad jokes during playtests for them to feel bad about everything.
I've got to hear this. You can't say you make dad jokes and then not tell us that dad joke. I mean, are they quite bad? How bad are these dad jokes? I mean, you're obviously, you said, you know, that's what you said. Oh, I've got a couple of kids, and it's like, and now you're dropping dad jokes. So we've got to hear these dad jokes.
Yeah, I think it's hard to, like, you can't pull up a dad joke, because a dad joke is just a really bad pun in the middle of a conversation. So I think, yeah, I'm ready to, I think I'm ready to bleep out. There's my dad joke. There it is. I'm ready to bleep out.
But hanging around with these guys, did that inspire you to kind of push ahead with Sovereign Skies then?
Oh, absolutely.
Because I mean, was it a case that you became friends with them as you were going through Sovereign Skies, or were they always friends in the background and you were hearing of them kind of, you know, what are you doing? Well, I'm bringing Dead Man's Cabal here, or
no, yeah, no. It was absolutely me working on a game working on games without having any sort of contact with the board game community, without knowing it, and then me figuring out, well, I gotta go to some conventions. Oh, here's New York people. I can just meet people. I went to Unpub 4 or 5 years ago. Met people there, and when I started gaming, after I moved here, I started gaming, and really Alex Kevern put me in touch with Gil and Daniel at the time, and that really compelled me to kind of get my stuff out there in front of more people who could give me really, really good insight design wise. So then I've just been, of course, attending whenever I can the NYC playtest group, and then I've just become friends with those guys over time. But yeah, I was starting to make these kind of games before I was really involved with the community as much as I have been.
As with any epic movie, this is the kind of the middle bit where it gets a bit sad. You know, because we've got to do the kind of the hero kind of getting beaten down a bit. You know, if this was Rocky, there would be potentially the bit where his trainer dies.
Yeah, it's the setback in the script. I get it.
It's the yeah. You know, this is where you're a creative director. I mean,
That's
you
right.
should have been.
I know all about it.
You should have been. You should. You know, when you sent me the show notes, you should have had this planned out and said, okay, this bit we're going to storyboard it. But you had the build up to obviously the first time, because it's the second time you're bringing Sovereign Skies to Kickstarter.
Yes.
Okay. And let's not. I'm not here to kind of to kind of beat down on you or anything like that, because that's not fair. Because I there's so many Kickstarter campaigns that I'm kind of like, I'm equally like going, this one's doing really, really badly and I have no idea why. Or this one is cancelled, I have no idea why. Or this one is going like a rocket and I have no idea why. So Kickstarter's become this kind of strange kind of beast where you can never ever tell whether or not a campaign is going to like take off into the stratosphere.
Yeah, it's
and
true.
just do ridiculous numbers.
Right.
Or it's going to fizzle along and just manage to fund, or somebody's going to go, this is just, you know, it's kind of just not happening. When you went through the first campaign, are there things you look back on now and think, actually, I should have maybe done that kind of differently?
Oh, absolutely.
Looking back now,
pretty much all of it. So at the time, I didn't really have that much control. So I kind of handed it off to Deepwater, and they were going through some things at the time, but they were trying to stick to their dates. And so when it launched, it launched like the day of Origins, which turned out to be kind of a bad idea in and of itself, but also, you know, as a creative director, me not having any kind of creative control, was really bothersome after the fact, after we realized it didn't have the momentum that it needed to finish. And we went back to the drawing board, not only on, what kind of game it needed to be presented as, and I think they were trying to make it bigger than what it is with very limited amount of time. So we really wanted to pull back on the offering, and it's a small box game. You get really a lot of depth for very few components, compared to a lot of larger games with as much thinking. We at some point we were talking about ship miniatures and this sort of, I don't know, deluxe edition. So we pulled away from that and got down to kind of the brass tacks of like, what makes this game good? It looks good. It plays well. Like, it's really smooth. So how do we highlight that in the best way we can? And really, now I was kind of handed the reins. Okay, the second time around, how much control do you want? I said, give it to me. I'd like to be in a lot more control with the graphic design of what the Kickstarter looks like, because that really matters. And also, we didn't have the reviewers that we wanted at the time. And that's a huge issue. And it was all because of time constraints. And now we were giving ourselves a little bit more time to get ready. And we got the reviewers we wanted this time. We have Game Boy Geek, Dan King, and we have Rado, who absolutely loves the game, which is so fantastic. But once you see how the game plays and how beautiful it looks within this new Kickstarter, you'll realize that really all along, this should have been something that people were wanting to have on their shelves. So I'm really confident this time around that we're going to do a good job. The Kickstarter page, we're still touching up, but it's ready to go, and I'm super psyched about the second go.
Mm. Does it hit your confidence a bit when you're kind of like saying, I know this is a really good product, and yet I'm not managing to get especially it must have been a bit frustrating as
absolutely.
Like your job saying, I'm not managing to get this message across, and this is driving me up the actual wall, and the whole thing is coming across as something different than what it kind of what it should be.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it all has to do with the quality of your presentation, and it just wasn't there. So it was definitely frustrating. And I was at Origins, and I was stressed out. And I'll be honest, the moment we decided to shut down the campaign and not see it played out, I felt so much better, because I knew then at that point, if we were going to do it again, I would be able to put all of my own effort into it 100%. And that's when I've been able to do. So I think this time around, it's going to get its day in the sun, because it is a good game. And it was just so hard to see what kind of game it was and how well it played with the way it was presented before. And I think we've done such a better job this time.
Do you think like the things like the minis and looking that into consideration, do you think that was just...
Yeah, I think it was a misstep. I think so a lot of pressure was put onto these quality kind of ship miniatures. And the thing is, it's a Euro game. So there's a specific audience that love minis, and there are some great minis out there. And to compete with that world isn't really where this game needed to be. This game is a midweight Euro game that plays really quickly, and there's no combat in it. There's no take that in it. It's all just a little thinky diplomatic space rondelle, and the miniatures are kind of unnecessary. Now we are doing kind of like wooden ship meeples and custom ones with specific stretch goals. So those are going to be cool, especially for a Eurogamer who usually prefers wooden components over plastic anyway. So I think we're doing our audience right, more so this time around.
I don't know, for whatever reason, I'm getting hints of Vindication by Orange Nebula, and I have no idea. But again, that's a game that the main components on everything within that game are cubes. It's wooden cubes.
Right.
Yes, there are miniatures in the game, but you don't need the miniatures in any way, shape, or form in order to be able to play the game. And in fact, you only really need the miniatures in the game if you decide to play kind of certain expansions and stuff like that within the game itself. But the core game itself is, I'm taking this wooden cube and I'm putting it here, and I'm taking this card, and I'm going to read it, and I'm going to take an action, and then, or I'm going to take this map tile and I'm going to place it down, kind of thing. And its simplicity in terms of its components and how it kind of plays out, that kind of really, really appeals to me, because I'm kind of getting over the 50 million miniatures in a box and 47 kind of page rulebook. I kind of want something I can get to the table, and then if there's depth and strategy kind of underneath that opens as you play, then that's more exciting. That's more kind of exciting to me.
I think my favorite component is just a little tiny wooden cube. I don't know why. There's something about the wood components that really draw me in. That tactile feeling of dropping some wood on a cardboard. That sounded like innuendo, and that was not meant to be that.
I'm definitely not. I'm not editing that out, and I might add in some 1970s guitar, gently strumming away in the background.
Yeah. When I was a breakdancer, I would also drop wood on cardboard sometimes.
I just don't. That's a bridge too far. In terms of how you're playing around, because obviously the whole purpose of this conversation is not to make bad double entendres about stuff, or incur the wrath of mass corporations, but we're actually trying to get a message across on how a game that nobody else has played in the world plays. Do you want to explain to us how you play your game?
Oh, yeah, sure.
That's it. Cough. That's a serious cough. Bringing myself back into the room. Damn it. Here we go. Right. Okay. Right.
Yeah. Right. So basically, in Sovereign Skies, you're one of 4 old Earth houses, which we're calling houses, but they're basically factions that fly in to the Abisi cluster, which is this 6 planets on this rondel. And you're going to fly around, and you're going to try to use diplomacy to pick up politic cards and drop ships down onto the planets in order to sort of sway the politicians to give you to do favors for you and gain influence. So basically, you're just moving a mothership either clockwise or counterclockwise. You can always pay 2 energy to turn around. You can always move 1 planet over in orbit for free, and then you pay an energy per to move further around the rondel, and you'll move once at the beginning of your turn. And then wherever the planet you land on, you'll have 3 actions. You can do 1 and get an energy, or if you do 2, you don't pay 1, you don't lose 1. If you don't lose 1, you don't gain 1. And if you do all 3 actions, you actually have to pay an energy to do all 3 actions. And those actions are pick up a politic card that's unique to that planet, drop a mini ship on that planet, land a ship, and do the special action. Now, each of the 6 planets have a special action on each one of them that allow you to move towards winning the game. And 3 of those actually help you score points. For instance, one is the pledge action. The pledge action is taking any politic cards you might have gotten along the way, and you can pledge up to 3 of them. You get these little 3-point chits. If you pledge them, that's just putting them back in their stacks, and those go onto your board. However, those can be taken away from you if somebody has a majority on that planet and they pledge too. So you have to maintain majorities on those planets where you've pledged in order to keep those points for the end of the game. That's how you score majorities in this game. It's a really unique, interesting kind of take on area majority. One of the other ways to score is by recruiting the senators, and those are the politicians of the planets, and they're all different alien races, and they kind of sit in this 3-card stack. Underneath all of them are these point chits, and if you're the first one in any single one of those rows, you get the top amount, and those values descend. Now you have to turn in 2 of the politic cards. For each one of those, there are 15 senators, and there's 6, so it's 6 politic cards of the 6 planets. So each one of them will have a unique combination of 2 different politic cards that you have to turn in to take those. Once you have that, they have 2 favors on them. They're 2 kind of boosted actions that are similar to the planet actions, and you can use one and discard it. Of course, you get to keep the points that you grabbed when you recruited. The other way is to activate bases. So activating a base is super simple. You land on activate and you flip over one of your bases. However, you have to build those bases, and to build those bases, you have to remove a certain amount of ships from these 3 different levels of planets. On a green planet, you only have to remove 2 ships to build a base there. On the purple planets, you have to remove 3, and on the orange planets, you have to remove 4. So when you activate on one of those higher valued planets, you're going to get more points because those chit stacks go up higher. The highest number is 9 for an orange. So if you spent 4 ships to build a base on an orange planet, you're the first one to do that, you're going to get 9 points. The next person will get 8. Basically, at the end of the game, the game ends when 2 of those chit stacks are depleted from both the activation board and the recruit senator board. So it could be 2 on one of those boards or 1 from each. And that plays really quickly. So there's a tension there that, oh my God, somebody's probably going to take that last one this turn. I need to get done what I need to get done. And so you have a lot of choices what you want to do with these politic cards, and then how you want to spend your time. Do you want to spend it building building bases with ships? You want to be putting down ships every time? Or do you want to save your energy so you can get further around the board when you need to? So there's a lot of meaty choices in there. And also the tension from kind of how quickly it all starts to ramp up and end. Do you have an optimum number of players for it then? When you were designing it and deciding it, it sounds to me, it's like it is my kind of interested little bag. My ears, if they prick up anymore, then yeah. I think the sweet spot is 3. And I think that's just kind of been consensus. Although I really do enjoy a 4-player game because you get a lot more interaction with a lot more push and pull with the majorities on the planets. And 2 is a much more cutthroat game, I think, between 2 players. It can be a much closer game. But it's really fun actually. And the 1-player version of that is designed by John Prather, who did Fire in the Library. He set up a wonderful 1-player version, and basically using the components that are already in the game, the cards, and a method on how to create a second player that works a little differently. We call it the AI, which I think a lot of people call it that for 1 player, but in a sci-fi game, it makes a lot more sense. And it's actually really, really great. It's a great solo. I've enjoyed that a lot. So 3-player
was it?
Yeah, is fantastic. But and I'm of course biased, but all player counts are really, really good.
Yeah. Yeah, was it strange kind of somebody taking your baby and then going away and saying, right, I've worked on a solo play for you, and you're just going, okay, just, you'll bring her back in one piece, kind of like, Han Solo with the Falcon. Yeah, it's fine, not a scratch, kind of thing. And then it's like, and they brought it back and you play it on the table and you're like, damn, this is good.
Yeah, it was kind of like that. John and I had a bunch of calls, and I know John very well, and I knew that he had a good idea for it from the beginning. And so I trusted him to kind of run with it. And no, it wasn't my baby sort of thing ever really for me. I feel like every game, because of playtesting, is really about a community building a game anyway. This game, I couldn't have made this game in a vacuum. This game was created by all the people that gave me advice along the way. I think that's true of most designers in their games.
What's it been like with the playtesting? Have you had, did you go back out and do some more playtesting when the Kickstarter kind of failed to fund? Was there that panic to say, oh my, have I actually got a game here? Or did you go out and seek a little bit of more feedback from the playtesters? Yeah,
not really. The game has been solid for a while, pretty much all this year. Ian Zhang is the developer, and he's really taken the game to a fantastic place. He and I worked really closely on making sure that it was the best game possible, and it was really, really ready to go since then. Although there's a couple of the expansions that we've been playtesting. So we're still working on making sure that the expansions play really well. There's 2 18-card expansions that are like part of stretch goals. There's also a variable player power expansion that's just 4 cards that allow each of the factions to have an extra special ability along the way. And so that I play tested a couple times myself, and that's working pretty well. But for the most part, the base game is really solid. So we haven't really messed with it that much. Although there was a little tweak just for the sake of rules clarity in the pledge action, because it can get a little. It's such a new kind of unique thing that it's not the easiest thing to follow. When you're trying to explain it to someone. Once you get it, it's pretty clear.
Yeah, I think blind playtesting is probably one of the most important things that you can do.
Yeah.
And I think, I've even in the games that I've kind of played for kind of like Kickstarter versions, you'd be amazed the number of kind of obvious little rules that you kind of go, oh, I'm not sure if I'm meant to be doing this or doing that. I need some kind of clarification. Mm-hmm. And it's like, it's not usually the big, huge, chunky, cheeseburgery type rules are the ones where everything kind of is explained to the 9th degree. But then on the other side, you're sitting here and going, right, I've got 3 cards in my hand. Do I put all of them down or do I keep them in my hand? And it's like, oh yeah, we didn't tell you, did we? Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You're just like, oh, all right, okay, I get it.
Yeah, and I think it's really important in the rules that you have example play throughout a rule book to really to express how a game plays in certain circumstances, and that's something we didn't have in the rule book at the first Kickstarter either. So I don't know if somebody downloaded it and they just don't know what's going on, but that's something that we're working on updating for this launch as well.
Mm-hmm. Have you approached things differently in terms of making noise and getting your name kind of out there as well? Have you been kind of out more in the community and making people aware the game exists and stuff? Yeah.
We didn't have much of a Facebook push last time, and this time around, I have a Sovereign Skies Facebook page, and that's really helped, I think. And we did some A/B testing with Facebook ads. I mean, Facebook ads is really where you get a lot of attention, and you just, I mean, it's just a necessary evil, I think, to just put the money there, a lot of it there. But also getting the right kind of reviewers helps as well. I mean, Rado is just such a big name in doing previews is so awesome. And because he'll give his real opinion, like it's something that you can actually trust. Like he's never going to say something he doesn't mean. So I think that's really important too. We didn't have him before. So that's been a big part of it.
The reason I think I like Rado is because he does the kind of the playthroughs as I would play through a game. And it's not always kind of like the pristine kind of, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not kind of like high production every single time there's a slight mistake. He basically says, look, I'm going to run through this, and if I make a mistake, you're just going to have to hold on and stick on the subtitles, and there'll be kind of clarifications and stuff like that as well. And I know that as far as his opinion goes, he's kind of tried to back off a little bit on what he thinks, but I think you kind of get a good idea of not what he's thinking, but I get a good idea of whether or not I like a game.
Yeah.
Based on how he plays it. If he ends up getting kind of halfway through and he's just like the Klingon subtitles are flying across the screen like nobody's business, it's like, well, how easy enough of a game is this to pick up?
I know.
If somebody like Rado, who's played literally hundreds of new games, if he's finding it difficult to actually pick a game up and run with it, then I'm not very clever. I mean, this is not going to be a good time for me. I'm probably going to leave that game kind of completely alone.
He did he did a solo run through of Sovereign Skies, which is so fantastic because we hadn't really had any of that on film yet, and that's something I really appreciated to know what he was going to do. But it's such a great run through. It's really awesome to see him enjoy kind of that player count, which is that's a hard sell, I think, for a lot of games.
I think sometimes with the single player one is a case of, is it kind of being properly developed, or is it kind of like a sometimes a tacked on bit? Because I know, it's interesting because I know he kind of plays the game when he's playing it almost in a solo mode. I know he's got his kind of his partner in the background there, and he says they're playing away, but he's kind of like saying, oh well, this is what they would do and this is what I'm going to kind of do. So it's almost like he's kind of running through a solo variant when on the 2-player, which is always kind of interesting. In terms of like kind of the other side of marketing, have you been flexing your own marketing fingers by looking at kind of what's going to work on the campaign, what's going to attract people? Have you done a bit more of a deep dive based on your own kind of personal experience, what you think is going to get people kind of moving from having a quick scroll through to kind of going up and pledging?
Yeah, absolutely. That's something that Nolan and I really, really discussed at length. What we thought, what we think is working out there in the market now compared to kind of the missteps that we saw with our previous campaign. So we wanted to make sure that we're doing what we see as helping successful campaigns right now happen on Kickstarter. And also, just making our ads really pretty. That's something that we weren't doing before. It's like I just want to get into Photoshop and make things as beautiful as I can. Like the art, we have such an awesome cover for the box. It's art by Giacomo Tapiner, but I basically took his art and kind of beefed it up in Photoshop and created that cover for it. And that's just something I'm super proud of, and I want to like get out there because that cover really helps sell the game. But also all of the art that Giacomo did for us in the game is just so pretty. And then mixing that with graphic design, it just helps so much. And then being able to show that off, being able to advertise that, I think helps as well. So I'm hoping it's translating, and helping us get the message out.
Have you seen the Moonrakers game?
Yeah.
Have you seen their campaign?
Yeah. It really beautiful. Absolutely.
Just stunning. But they're kind of they're also they're an animation studio.
Yeah.
So one helps. Just a little bit. They were on the show just over a week ago, you see.
Yeah, okay.
So we had a chat. Gotcha. So it's interesting, I'm seeing some kind of similarities and parallels between two, a group of individuals from, kind of like both kind of professional kind of creative industries, and one of them from advertising, and one of they're both kind of in that field kind of thing.
Right.
And I'm just kind of saying, there's a lot of kind of similarities in how you're kind of approaching things as well. But how much is the kind of the entry on the door?
Yeah,
You've dropped it. We dropped it since the last time.
We did because we really want to give everyone an option. Because really, if we're just selling a base game, with the stretch goals as well, we really wanted to give people a value, especially if we're distributing it directly from, because with Kickstarter, you're not distributing to your friendly local game stores. You're getting a big margin there, so a bigger margin at least. So we wanted to make sure that people really got that value, and that was really important. I think. So MSRP will be like $39, and we just had that up as the price for the base game previous, with a deluxe version at like 80, $79, whatever it was. And it just didn't feel like it was enough value. And I think now knocking $10 off and saying, look, if you back this Kickstarter, you will get the best price you can possibly get for this game right off the bat, at least, in the beginning. So I thought that was really important. That's something that we discussed as well. We were like, look, we need to show that what we're offering, we want this to be out there. We want people to feel like they're getting an amazing value in the game that they're going to back. So that's something I really push for as well.
Has that made you had to kind of think about controlling your costs in terms of going for the stretch goals as well? Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, there's some things that we weren't going to do. You can't do as a stretch goal if you're trying to have a really good price point like that. But like we have metal coins, but we don't have those as a stretch goal. They're very expensive. So that has become like an add-on that we're looking into. Yeah. So hopefully you'll be able to just like, if you really love it and you want the metal coins, you can pay $10 and get those added on. No.
Yeah, yeah. Because it's $29 is what you're looking at.
Yeah.
Which is, that's very lower end for Kickstarter.
Yeah, it's.
I mean, I don't mean that in a kind of a nasty way. Because I mean, most Kickstarters I see, they're kind of like, you're heading into $100 and then it's upwards, and then it's like, oh, you can buy all these kind of time exclusive expansions, and then you can buy these things that are Kickstarter exclusive, and the next thing you know, you're parting with like the best part of a couple $100.
No, it's really true. The value is fantastic, right? And the things that we're throwing in there, we're talking about adding these 3 mini expansions in there if those stretch goals are reached, and having these meeples be custom shapes and all kinds of stuff. So I mean, the value just continues to get better as we get more backers. So that's good.
Has it got you excited again now? You're kind of going back out. It does.
There, yeah? I'm super excited this time around. I mean, if something would happen to go wrong, you just never know with Kickstarter. I can at least say this time around, I went in 100%. I did everything I could to make this game a reality from start to finish. So I'm the only one to blame this time.
We have that on tape, Aaron, and if it doesn't go right, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to release a small 10-minute episode, which is just repeatedly just saying you're to blame.
But also,
because it's the least I can do.
And if it makes $1 million, I'm also the one to profit. So just know that.
There you go. Absolutely. We're not going to tap out in this one. And there goes our profit. If people have listened along and they want to find out some more, where can they find you on the internet webs? Where do you exist, young man?
I can be found on Twitter at Internet's Magic. Yeah, it's a screen name, a blast from the past, just silliness, but that is my screen name. And then, of course, you can reach me through my Facebook page, Sovereign Skies Facebook page as well. And I also have a Facebook page called Games by Aaron Wilson. That one's pretty easy to find too. I'm also on, I guess, Instagram at Internet's Magic as well. So any of those places you can reach me. Just follow me on Twitter. That's the best. It's kind of the best. That's where I play the most. Way. Yeah.
That is the best way. That's where you see him hanging about.
That's right.
Just, hanging out.
That's where I send you silly gifts.
I can't even talk about that. If you want to keep an eye on what we're up to, the quickest thing to do is to go to the internet webs and search for We're Not Wizards, and you'll find us. Because we do Instagram and we do Facebook and we do Twitter, and we've got our website. And we've also got our blog, which is we'renotwizards.blogspot.com. You can find us on all the podcast catchers where they use the word pod in their name and they use the word cast in their name, and they don't use either of them in their name, like Stitcher. So there you go. If you like what you've listened to tonight, then consider 2 things. The first thing is go and tell somebody else, because as I've said, and we've had complaints about this, so that's good. I'm causing controversy that we spread like a nasty virus. So thanks to all the anti-vaxxers. And then somebody pointed out that you can't do vaccine things against the virus, so that entire statement is incorrect. So I don't know where I'm going with it. It doesn't matter. Tell people. Fantastic. Thanks. And the other thing you can do is you can go to Apple Podcasts. As I say, we're number 23 in the games chart in Azerbaijan, and we're trying to get a 22. I don't know who's trying to beat us, but we just want 22 to help. Right. All right, clever clogs. Thanks very much. But there's a couple of things you can do. You can drop a subscription on Apple Podcasts. You can drop us a rating or review. If you are going to be giving us a rating or review, don't give us 10 stars because it makes us big-headed. But don't give us 1 star because it makes us cry. And you're just seeing the tracks of my tears. Give us something in the middle, like a 5, because it's, average. And we're just a little bit average. But the person who's not being average It's rather wonderful, rather fantastic. He's the king of space in those sovereign skies.
I'm starting to space out right now. I'm listening to you.
It's Aaron Wilson.
Thanks so much
for coming on.
Thanks for having me. I really had fun.
That's good.
Sorry,
That's good.
More dad jokes next time, I promise.
He's just absolutely failed us, and that's going to be the title of the show. No dad jokes here. There's only 2 more things to do. The first thing is to remember that we're many things, but we're not wizards. Are we wizards, Aaron?
We are not wizards.
There you go. Fantastic. Hey, I'm doing magic here. And
that's perfect.
And the second thing is to say goodbye. So goodbye from Aaron. Say goodbye, Aaron.
Okay. Goodbye, Aaron.
And it's a goodbye from me. Remember, stay safe, roll 6s, make something awful. And check out Sovereign Skies when it comes to Kickstarter, because it should be coming to Kickstarter by the time this is released. So you can go and check the show notes and press the button and give it a look, and then, take it from there.
Yes.
But until the next time, goodbye.
Goodbye. Dropping some wood on a cardboard. Dropping some wood on a cardboard. Dropping some wood on a cardboard.
Nor is he early. He arrives precisely when he means to.
Dropping some wood on a cardboard.